Alright, so here are the practice problems I want you to try. So you're going to have to pause the video and then try them and then unpause it, and I will go through them with you and make sure you did them correctly. So you should pause now. Alright, so with this one, there's two different ways of doing it. Remember we talked about the two different formulas. So I'm going to go through the first method, and that's using this formula right here. So notice our first term is 15. And then our common difference, well, what are we adding by to get from one term to the next? And you would say 14, Mr. Grossman. So 14 would be our common difference. So we're going to plug those in and distribute the 14 through. And then we combine our like terms. So we would just have 15 minus 14 there. And we would end up with a sub n equals 14n plus 1. So again, if I asked you to find some term like the 50th term, you would plug in 50 for n. So you have a sub 50 equals whatever that answer would be. So let's come over here to the method 2. So this is using the zero term. So notice all we'd have to do to work it out this way is we need to go backwards from 15, since that's our first term. So since we're adding 14 each time, we just need to subtract 14 to go backwards to our zero term. So 15 minus 14 would be 1. So then we would just plug it in, and notice we get the exact same formula, 14n plus 1. Sorry about the watermark. Can't get rid of that. Alright, so hopefully you got that one right. Let's move on to the next one. So you should be trying this one on your own now, and use whatever method you would like to use. So you should pause it now. Alright, so notice with this one, we have our first term is a negative 8. And our common difference here is negative 10, because we're subtracting 10 each time. So I'm just going to put the work up here because I think it's kind of self-explanatory at this point. And you can pause and look over it and make sure you don't have any questions. Alright, so the next one. So here we got to find the 14th term. So you're going to have to plug in 14 for n and work it out. So again, pause it, try it on your own, and see how you do. Alright, so I'm using the method 2 that I've been showing you with the zero term. So I went backwards to find the zero term. So we're subtracting by 4 each time, so to go backwards we need to add 4. So my zero term is 234. So then I just plug all that in. So I'm looking for the 14th term. My common difference is negative 4, again 14th term, and then plus 234, the zero term. So I work that out, and I end up with that the 14th term, t of 14, is 178. So that would be the 14th term. And if you worked it out using the other method, you should have got the exact same answer. Alright, so you're going to have to do the same thing here, but it's got the information a little different. So it's telling us that the first term is 35, that our common difference is negative 12, and we're trying to find the 8th term. So you can plug this in however you would like to. So you want to pause it now, and we will go over it. So I'm going to use the first method with this one since it gave us the first term instead of the zero term. So I'm just plugging it all in. I'm looking for my 8th term. My first term is 35. I'm looking for the 8th term, so n minus 1, and my common difference is negative 12. So I just work all that out. So I end up with 35 plus 7 times negative 12, and that simplifies to be negative 49. So that tells us our 8th term would be 49. Alright, so this is the arithmetic means problem. So we've got to find these missing terms. So you can review what we talked about in the previous video, and then I will pause here and I will go over this one. Alright, So I did this one a little differently because I know that we're adding or subtracting by the same number every time. So what I did was I just kind of found the average of them. So notice if this is our first term, this would be our second, third, fourth, and fifth. All right. So what I did was I averaged them out. I did 195 minus 135 top, and I divided by 5 minus 1, which is 4. So that tells me that our common difference is 15. I kind of find this method easier than the other method in the video, but it's totally up to you on how you want to do it. So now that just tells us we have to add 15 each time to get to our next term. So that would be our 3 missing terms right there. So same thing here. You can use the method I just showed you, or you can use the method from the previous video. Remember, this is your first term, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Let's pause now and try it. Alright, so again, I used the method I thought was easier, so I did the average. I did 104 minus 8 on top, and then 5 minus 1 on bottom, and that gave me 24. So that tells me we're adding 24 each time when we go from one term to the next. So now I just got to take 8 plus 24, and then just keep adding 24, so my missing terms are 32, 56, and 80.